It all comes down to this. After 10 months, 21 races across 19 countries, the 2021 Formula One World Championship will be settled this Sunday in Abu Dhabi at the Yas Marina circuit. It's the first time since 2016 that we have a final race showdown, and the first time since 1974 that two rivals have gone into the last race level on points, and tensions could not be higher between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. This weekend is also going to be full of goodbyes. It will be Kimi Raikkonen's last ever Formula One race. His teammate Antonio Giovinazzi is also on the way out, off to Formula E, and it's the last race for Valtteri Bottas at Mercedes and for George Russell at Williams, as well as the last race before a major change in the sport's technical regulations. So let's not waste any more time, let's get into our preview of the final round of this truly epic Formula One season. For once, it's actually fairly simple to work out how the championship can be decided. If Verstappen finishes ahead of Hamilton, or they both retire or finish outside of the points, then Verstappen will be champion by virtue of either having more points or having 9 wins to Hamilton's 8. If Hamilton finishes in the points ahead of Verstappen, then he will be champion, with the only slight caveat being that if Hamilton finishes 9th and Verstappen is 10th, the Dutchman can still win the title if he takes the fastest lap as well. Of course, after some of the shenanigans that we saw in Saudi Arabia, some have suggested that Verstappen could try and engineer a collision to win the title, just like Senna and Prost in 1990 or Schumacher and Villeneuve in 97, but I honestly can't see that happening. Any deliberate attempt at a crash for either driver will almost certainly end in disqualification from either the race or the championship, just like Schumacher in 97. It's just not worth the risk. While I'm sure that Verstappen will be aggressive as always, I don't think he'll crash into Hamilton on purpose. Ultimately, his number one aim this weekend will be to take pole and finish ahead of Hamilton, removing any need for any aggressive overtakes or contact between the two. And it's the same story for Hamilton. He can't risk contact and he must finish ahead of Verstappen. And personally, as a neutral, a double DNF is really not how I want the season to end. The last time we raced in Abu Dhabi, of course, Verstappen took a comfortable win from pole position, but it's worth saying that Mercedes weren't at their best that day and Hamilton was still recovering from COVID-19, and the circuit has changed a fair amount since last year's race. Gone is the chicane and tight hairpin in Sector 1, replaced with a wider hairpin that looks similar to the last turn in Jeddah. There have also been changes to the chicane sequence at the back of the circuit, with another banked hairpin in its place. Sector 3 has also been reconfigured with 4 corners made wider to encourage cars to follow more closely. This means the circuit this year is considerably quicker, and it leaves us with little indication of which team will be best suited to the new layout, as we can't rely on last year's form guide. The consensus seems to be that the two teams, Red Bull and Mercedes, will be evenly matched, and I think that's a fair assumption. Let's not forget that Verstappen looked like he had the upper hand in qualifying in Jeddah, if not for his mistake at the final corner, while Mercedes had the upper hand just about in the race, so it could be that we have a similar story here. Pole position will be important, but overtaking is expected to be easier with the circuit changes, with cars able to follow closer through sectors 1 and 3, and then able to pass and repass through the 2 DRS zones. If there is an opportunity for any dive bombs or late overtakes, the turn 6 chicane will be the favoured spot. If the circuit changes have the desired effect, we should see plenty of action, and I shouldn't think we'll see a repeat of the 2010 finale, where Fernando Alonso and Mark Webber got stuck in the pack and ultimately ended up losing the championship to Sebastian Vettel. One thing that could make life easier for both Hamilton and Verstappen is if their teammates could offer some support this weekend. You have to think that Bottas in particular will be desperate to end his time at Mercedes on a high, and if Verstappen is behind the two Mercedes, he could obviously play a role in protecting Hamilton's advantage. Similarly, Red Bull will desperately need Checo Perez in play to at least disrupt the strategy of Mercedes. Tensions are so high after the controversy in Jeddah, and there hasn't been a title fight like this in years, but personally, I just hope after we saw last weekend that in Abu Dhabi we have a cleaner race and the championship isn't decided in the stewards room. And although the Drivers' Championship will dominate the headlines this weekend, there are of course some other loose ends to tie up. Mercedes are the favourites for the Constructors' Championship. They're ahead of Red Bull by 28 points, and only a disaster or DNF for the Silver Arrows and a strong finish for Red Bull could deny them that title now. Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz still have to battle it out to see who will finish best of the rest. rest, with Leclerc now leading the way after outscoring Norris in Jeddah. And sadly, of course, there will be some kind of send-off for the Iceman, and I really hope that he scores some points in his last ever race. Perhaps a single point to mirror the point he scored in his first ever F1 race for Sauber would be quite fitting. The other battles up and down the grid really do appear to be settled, and it's just the one at the very top of the championship that's still to be decided. This has been one of the great Formula 1 seasons, with twists, turns and drama all the way through, and with the top two level on points, everything that happened before becomes irrelevant now, and all that's left to do is see who comes out on top after the final 58 laps of the season. Let me know who you think's going to come out on top in the comments, and thank you very much for watching this video and all of our videos through the season. We really do appreciate it. Enjoy the final race, and we'll be back in the off season for more Formula 1 content.